Joining me right now is House Majority Leader, Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise. Leader Scalise, thanks so much for being here this weekend.
Always great to be with you, Maria. Thanks for having me.
And you know all the details. Louisiana is an energy state. What is your reaction to the president putting a pause on these LNG deals?
Well, this is another classic example of President Biden bowing to the far extreme left to appease TikTok influencers at the expense of hardworking families. This will raise energy costs in America. And by the way, are those TikTok influencers banning the use of natural gas amongst themselves? Do they even know how many different products use natural gas? Do they know that natural gas allowed America to lower our carbon emissions? If that's their holy grail that they seem to want to die on, all they're going to do is embolden our enemies, embolden foreign countries that are going to now be supplying the natural gas that we would have otherwise been supplying to our allies around the world. We do it cleaner than anywhere in the world. These people love beating up America every day. They will never acknowledge all the great benefits that come from America being able to produce our own energy, because if we don't produce our energy, we're going to end up getting it from other countries that don't have the standards we do, and that hurts our economy. It hurts our energy security. But President Biden doesn't care. As long as he gets these TikTok influencers to help him in his reelection, he doesn't care if it hurts the economy. It's why he's doing so bad in the polls, because the public's fed up with this kind of bad policy.
Yeah, I mean, do you think these young TikTokers understand that this is not just an energy and economic issue, but a national security issue?
Of course not. I mean, are they riding bicycles? No, they're probably driving around in cars. And maybe even if they're driving around in an electric car, do they not know? They don't plug that car into a tree, Maria.
Right.
They have to plug it into some source that's probably generated by fossil fuels, natural gas. They'll never want to admit it. But that's what the reality is.
Meanwhile, the big issue of the day is this wide open border. We know of more than a dozen GOP governors headed to the southern border this weekend as House Republicans are pushing for a vote on 2 articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas as early as next week. Here's what the House Speaker Mike Johnson told me on Friday.
Everybody knows Mayorkas is an unmitigated disaster as a cabinet secretary. I believe he's the worst in the history of the country. And impeachment is a really important and serious measure for the House to take. It's a heavy responsibility that we have under the Constitution. But when someone refuses to comply with their oath of office, when they intentionally break existing federal law, and when they lie to Congress, it's a great breach of public trust.
Still, you've got conservative voices like the Wall Street Journal editorial board encouraging the GOP to drop the campaign against DHS Secretary Mayorkas altogether, saying that it achieves nothing and sets a bad precedent. They're instead advocating for a deal between the GOP and President Biden. Congressman, what do you say to that?
I wish there was a deal to be had that actually secured the border. But everything you're hearing right now that's going to be coming out in the Senate would start a baseline of 5,000 people coming illegally as being okay. I mean, look, it was Jay Johnson, Barack Obama's own Homeland Security Secretary, who said 1,000 people coming across illegally is a crisis. Today, we have thousands coming across. President Biden could stop this on his own, Maria. You know it. President Biden knows it. He just chooses not to. He wants an open border. Secretary Mayorkas' job is to secure the homeland. He has failed miserably in that mission. He comes and testifies before Congress that the border's secure. And everybody knows that's a lie. And so this impeachment is the next step. But ultimately, President Biden could solve this problem. We have a bill, H.R. 2, that we passed out of the House that would secure America's border. That's really where the conversation needs to start if you want to be serious about fixing the problem. And by the way, most Americans, most Democrat mayors across America want to solve this problem. It's Joe Biden who doesn't want to fix the problem at all.
Well, it's interesting to me that you have H.R. 2 in place, and yet the Senate thought that they needed to start from scratch and come up with new ideas. Look, I spoke with President Trump this week, and he told me about the 8 to 10 million people that are already in this country. Most of them have to go back. I mean, are we talking about mass deportation? What do you do with the 10 million people that are already here illegally on Joe Biden's watch?
Well, again, if you go back to what Barack Obama did, he deported many people. He helped secure the border. President Trump secured the border better than anybody with the Remain in Mexico policy. And again, Joe Biden could go back to that today. Joe Biden is the one who undid Remain in Mexico. The protocols for asylum, if you want to get back to normal asylum law, you would not have this problem. You got to end catch and release. Everybody knows what needs to happen. Joe Biden could do it tomorrow if he chooses not to. And so that's why we had wrote it down in a bill. H.R. 2, you can go read the bill, but that's not where we are right now with the Senate negotiations. If the Senate wants to ultimately start a real negotiation on how to solve the problem, we're here ready to go. We have a bill that solves the problem, and if they've got a better way to do it, let's have the conversation. But saying just let 5,000 people a day in illegally and not solve the real problem, we're not here to do window dressing. I mean, this is a major crisis in our nation. We've got people on the terrorist watch list coming across illegally. We've got people from over 150 different countries. This isn't South and Central America people coming across. It's people from every other country in the world, people from China, people from Middle Eastern countries. This is a major, major national breach to our national security. And Joe Biden doesn't care about it because he's the one who created this problem.
Wow, it's incredible. 302,000 apprehensions just in 1 month, the month of December. Those are only the people that we know of that were apprehended. Congressman, it's great to see you. We so appreciate your time on all of this. Thank you, sir.
Always great being with you, Maria. Thanks.
All right. Majority Leader Steve Scalise.